Okay, we're glad to have Senator Ali Ndume from Borno State, who is in Maiduguri and whose constituents have been under the deluge that arose from the Alo Dam collapse during the week. Good evening, distinguished Senator Ali Ndume. This must be very, very trying times for you, your constituents, and the entire people of Borno State over the deluge that wreaked havoc in the city of Maiduguri. What are the latest, in terms of humanitarian delivery to the people that is before the table?
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be on your program. Today is the 4th or 5th day, and we thank God the water has started receding, and humanitarian assistance is coming in, but then it's still not enough because of the magnitude of the flood. I have never seen such thing in my life. In fact, by the time I came in, I thought it was like the 1994 experience that we had, because we had flood in 1994, I think in August or September. But the one we have now is, that one that happened in 1994 is a joke. I mean, what happened in now, or what we are facing now, is beyond any human's imagination. Any explanation will not be enough until someone sees for himself. Even myself, when I came in, I honestly did not think that the flood will be what we are witnessing or what we are seeing. I can say that the whole, or 70% of Maiduguri is underwater as I'm speaking to you now. As I'm speaking to you now, the University Teaching Hospital and part of University of Maiduguri is underwater. They're still trying to evacuate people. The General Hospital in Maiduguri is submerged. The Sewus Palace and the Borno Central Mosque is submerged. The three markets that we have, that is the Maiduguri Central Market, the Bulunkutu Market, and then the Gomboru Market, and in fact, the known and international cattle market in Gomboru is completely submerged. And we understand, because in our going around, in fact, we can't go around. We use only 2 trucks provided by the army. That is the amphibian, those trucks that can move in water. That is what we use to transport visitors that want to go around to see. But even like day before yesterday, you can't go through some roads because of the level of water. And as I speak to you now, there are still many people trapped. And we don't know the level of casualty in terms of loss of lives now. The police just announced that they have recovered about 11 people, but many people are still trapped in the flood. The Maiduguri graveyard has been submerged completely. It's, as I said, it's something beyond imagination. I have never seen something like that. And this flood is not only affecting Maiduguri, because Maiduguri is housing all types of people. I don't think there's any state that is not affected directly or indirectly. What I mean indirectly is that I know that, like the Igbos in Maiduguri suffered most, because they are the ones that sell most of the commodities and all that. All their shops have been submerged. We have a lot of Yoruba people. We have people from Benue. We have from every state, and most of them are living in high-density area that is most affected or that is completely submerged by the flood. As I'm speaking to you now, the Shehu of Borno is virtually living, his house is submerged, and he still manages. It's just, the humanitarian response is okay, but but it's not enough. The Nigerian army are doing everything to protect people and the other security agencies.
Well, distinguished Senator Ali Ndume, I was just going to come to that 30 years after the first deluge in 1994 that you said, almost swept Maiduguri away. The one we're having now bespeaks of the nation's preparedness during emergency situations. NEMA is there. We only just see the military with the amphibious, maybe a couple of amphibious vehicle, rescuing people. It is being said, I mean, in around the country that the rescue operations is shambolic. Where is NEMA? Where are the helicopters to pluck people away from electric poles and the rest? Where is the rehabilitation? It's so slow. There is a fear of epidemic, outbreak of epidemic, cholera, and the rest like that. What are your comments here?
Well, my comment is same with your comment, so to say. You have said it all. Honestly, as you rightly said, we see or we hear the presence of NEMA. And I told you the army on ground, especially the army on ground, are doing their best. But the response that we need to do as a country or as a government have to be immediately stepped up. By now, the state government alone cannot handle this. The governor opened up about 22 camps, or is it 25, and some feeding centers, but it's not enough. Right now, children, even in the front of my house this evening, came, many of them are hungry. And when the little food that we can afford to give, I mean, you can see them scrambling. They are very hungry, many. So the response needs to be really, really stepped up. What is happening in Maiduguri, if not taken care of immediately, can be a national disaster. And but I'm glad that people are coming in to see actually. In fact, one of these philanthropists, like Dangote, came in. When he came in, we received him at the government house, and he told us that he has donated 1 million to NEMA for national flood, and that he's donating 500 to Maiduguri. By the time we went around with Dangote at the airport, he said, no, this 500 cannot do anything. Look, considering what he has seen with himself. So he jacked up his donation to 1 billion. And I want to use this opportunity to say that, look, this situation calls for help for anybody. If anybody has anything that is extra that he can afford to give, please send it to Maiduguri, because people are dying, as I said. Small children have nowhere to go. Some people are still hanging upstairs where they have buildings like that. And only God knows what is happening, because we learned that the flood has submerged farmlands and other local villages around. Even the governor's local government, Mafa, Dikwa, Baga, Marte, Mongono, all of these are submerged. That is to the north and central. Looking back to the south, that is my senatorial district, many local governments have been completely submerged. In Dambua, we had flood. In Chibok, we have flood. In fact, the flood in Chibok consumed lately family of 8 former local government chairmen. So the situation we know is nationwide, but that of Maiduguri is more severe.
Well, yes, the situation is dire. Following NIMET warning earlier in the year, federal and subnational governments seem to have shirked or shied away from putting mitigating alternatives to mitigate whatever damages that could come up here. But isn't it This time, isn't it now the best time to have what we have, food banks, instead of waiting for the Dangotes? I know some other donors are waiting in the corners to rally international, donors to assuage the humanitarian catastrophe that is in Maiduguri, and of course others waiting to happen as a result of these floods. How would the National Assembly, for example, help legislate a national food bank?
By now, I was expecting that the National Assembly itself will have an emergency session to see what they can do from that angle. That is one. And also, in the part of the executive, I understand that NEMA, Ministry of Agriculture and Humanitarian have been mobilized. But all these things should not be a TV talk or newspaper, so it should be. People should see it on ground. Emergency situations like this, it should be the priority of government, because the Constitution is clear. The main purpose of government is security and welfare of its citizens. So if you have a situation that is of emergency like this, I want to encourage or call on the government to abandon any other thing that is not emergency and concentrate on addressing the emergency situations. Because, as you rightly said, if this thing is handled the way it's going, the aftermath of it will be very serious and dangerous. Most of the houses, for example, in the high-density places, they are not well constructed. They are just built like that. So if they stay under water for a long time, it can eventually collapse. And as I said, even our graveyard have been washed away. And if we don't do anything immediately, germs and then outbreak of cholera and other disease or waterborne diseases will start emerging. So there's going to be more serious problem than it is now. So the earlier the better. The federal government should please come to the aid of not only Borno, but other flood-affected areas. And I can see there is warning coming from Nimet again for likelihood of such flood happening in the riverine areas, like in the south-south. The government should do something, and those things that is being done should be seen, not hearing on newspaper or reading in newspaper or hearing it on a television like this. The action of government must be seen. If we don't have some of the rescue equipment, we can hire, we can borrow from other countries, because the whole world is aware of the situation like in Maiduguri and are willing to help. Today, the UN system was in the government house, and I was there, and they paid a courtesy visit to the governor, and they offered to help in whatever way. We have a representative in the United Nations. The Deputy Secretary General is from Nigeria. They are all willing. All these avenues must be exploited, and not only that, talking on TV or in newspaper, the people should see the action going on. I am expecting that the federal government on its own part will open up a feeding center in places like a race course, or we call it Murtala Square, and stadiums and schools to complement that of the government, because government of Borno State is one of the states that has meager resources to address such a thing. The government should really sit up.
Okay. And in sitting up, Senator Ndume, you talked about the fears of, outbreak of diseases like cholera and the rest, because there is the height of open defecation, is shooting beyond the skies. Any medical mobilization for the people to curtail, or minimize the spreads, the outbreak of such diseases, cholera and the rest? Very quickly.
Yeah, there is, but it's very minimal. As I told you, the greatest challenge we have is that the two hospitals that we have, and the third is only one that is functional. The University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital is virtually closed down. In fact, we have a fear. It's the largest with over 1,300 of getting to 1,500 patients that they cannot even keep, not to talk of admitting new ones. The dead bodies, some of them have not been even reached out to, not to talk of recovering it. And the more they stay there, it will decompose and then spread more diseases. As I told you, the Maiduguri main graveyard have been submerged, and nothing has been done practically to address the likelihood of outbreaks. There are many vehicles, many houses, many people, not only in terms of areas. Many areas are not even accessible, even with the assistance of the military. So more serious action need to be taken to address these issues. Otherwise, after the flood, there will be, God forbid, serious humanitarian crisis.
Well, let's hope that everybody concerned, will be on the deck and, assuage the fears of the people. Distinguished Senator Ali Ndume, representing Borno South Senatorial District, they are speaking to us on the latest development of the flood in Maiduguri, Borno State. Thanks so very much.